Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special late episode, number 200 of the NZXT podcast, the official podcast of the NZXT community. This podcast is usually recorded on 10 a.m., but today is a very special day. But we record on Fridays on the official NZXT Twitch, and it's available to stream on demand on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. My name is Mike, and with me, as always, is Ivan. How are you doing, Ivan?
How it do, baby boo? I am super excited to be here for the NZXT podcast After Dark edition. I feel like we should do something different today. I don't know. Maybe I told you earlier we should have done today's episode in a hot tub or something. But
Yeah, show off our feed and everything like that.
yeah, probably too late for that. Before I introduce our special guest today, I do want to make one quick announcement. So for those of you who are tuned in live, you are in for a treat. You're going to get first dibs into a giveaway that has not been announced on social media yet. You can type exclamation giveaway in the chat. You will get a link to access the giveaway. And if you stick around until the end of the show, you will get a secret word, which will get you a bunch of bonus entries into the giveaway. And if you're wondering what this giveaway is for, it's for our brand new products, which we just announced 2 days ago at Computex. And with us here today to talk about those products is the one and only Kevin. Kevin, welcome to the NZXT podcast. How you doing?
Yeah, Ivan. Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me again.
So first of all, Kevin, thank you for doing this. It's like 5 a.m. where you're at. You're actually at Computex right now in Taiwan. So we appreciate you waking up early on a Saturday morning to be here.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's almost 7, so getting awake.
Well, you've been on the show before. You were on not that long ago, actually. But for those who have no idea who you are, can you just quickly introduce yourself and let everyone know what you do around here?
All right. So I'm a senior product manager, leading the PC components team, and yeah, so I'm mainly in charge of all the PC cases. So that's sort of what I do here. But yeah, every PC component, I have a product manager that manages each.
That's kind of an important job, wouldn't you say, Mike?
Yeah, I mean more important than what we do, honestly.
Yeah, he's like in charge of our bread and butter, basically. So,
Community is, just as important.
I don't know about that.
So what does a typical day look like for you, Kevin?
Yeah, it's we start the day out checking usually the daily routine if there's any like fires to put out, coming in from emails. You hopefully don't get those very often, but yeah. And then there's always the Slack channels. We have way too many Slack channels that just require attention. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe something to optimize, something to think about. And then, yeah, I do have, because a lot of the team members are here in Asia, so depending on the time of the day, it's about those meetings and meeting with the core teams that work on these products. And yeah, just making sure we are making progress towards what that next new thing is.
Speaking of products, can you tell everyone what we just released?
Yeah, so this has been our Cycle 1 launch that we've launched 2 brand new cases, the H9 Flow and the H3 Flow. And we also have new sets of coolers that came out. And yeah, overall pretty exciting. And then lastly, we have a C750 bronze power supply, but yeah, very not. I would say it's not targeted for the U.S. audience. Oh, did we lose Ivan's voice?
Sorry, I was muted. You mentioned cases first, so I think we should start with the cases, and we're going to start with the big boy. Mike, can you roll the clip of the H9 Flow?
I love the music. Whoever does the creative team that does these videos, 10 out of 10 for them. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the H9 since it is a refresh of the old H9. So Kevin, if you can go into like the features and specs of the H9, I'll go ahead and pull it up on our website right now so people can kind of look at it right now.
Yeah, so overall, the new H9, it's we've taken a lot of, I would say, inspiration from the H6. Overall, in a, I guess the goal was to make performance, even better. There was a lot of learnings as we were building dual chamber cases throughout, and the H9 being the biggest case out of our and being the flagship, we wanted to maximize its cooling potential and therefore enlarging it to be able to support the biggest radiators that are sort of available on the market. And we've also gone to launch a brand new size out of our Kraken lineup. So yeah, all of that really ties together.
What would you say are the biggest differences between the old H9 and the new H9?
Yeah, part of it is keeping up with the times. Like BTF hidden connector support that's now available in the H9. But when we started doing the original H9, it was all about taking dual chamber cases and introducing that sort of wraparound glass. And I think we were the first one to do it. And now every single case is sort of like going down this fish tank. But in that process, we've just learned that the placement of the fans just weren't very optimal. If you have it in an intake orientation on the front, it would just be blowing air into the glass and not really finding its way out. So yeah, a lot of learnings from that point that led to the H6, making it affordable, dual chamber case, and bringing those elements over now to the H9.
I'm glad you mentioned the H6 because when the H6 launched, from day one, people have been asking us on social media, are you guys ever going to make a bigger H6, or can you make the H9 look? People have actually asked us to make the H9 look like the H6. But can you elaborate what the differences are between the H6 and the new H9? Because they're actually, even though they look similar, they're spec'd very differently.
Yeah, I would say because the H6 was very specific in targeting reaching a price point that was just much more affordable, there was a lot more I would say we couldn't do, such as adding additional filters. Radiator would just be limited to the top. But it was very focused, right? The H6 does its job very well. The H9, however, because it's our flagship, it is more dollars could be, I guess, put into places where maybe a little bit more pieces of steel could be utilized to simplify ease of installation. The SSD door on a hinge that we've introduced in the original H9, we kept. So yeah, those little elements that allow for us to, I guess, put features into a product that is, I guess, slightly more in terms of the price point.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on it. So with the H6, you kind of had like this angled fan, but you talked about the dual chamber design, and it looks like the H9 also has that. So what's like the benefits of a dual chamber design, and do you want to explain what it actually is for those that have no idea what a dual chamber is?
Yeah, the dual chamber design was originally inspired from the guys over at Danley working on their 011 cases, and what that allowed for previously, well, all dual chamber designs sort of carry this, which is open sort of access to an opening along the floor. Traditional layouts, you generally have a PSU shroud along the bottom, and therefore you can't really get fresh air intake from the bottom, and therefore dual chamber puts that power supply on the back of the case, and therefore it's sort of in its own separate chamber. What it was meant to do is allow for fresh air intake along the bottom to reach the GPU, and overall, that primary chamber is sort of GPU focused on I guess it's cooling. And so yeah, dual chamber with the H9 and the H6, those are sort of its key benefits.
And a lot of this case is about performance. I know back we had our old H9, we had an H9 Elite and an H9 Flow, and now we're sticking with just an H9 Flow with a perforated panel on top. What made us go with only the Flow version?
Yeah, I would say, the focus that's been at NZXT sort of ever since, we've gotten, the negativity around, NZXT just creates hot boxes and sacrificing performance.
Who said that? Tell me their name right now, Kevin.
And I guess we don't want to ever give up on performance in terms of the products that we make. We think performance is really the key metric that our customers look for, and of course, great aesthetics to match. So when we had the Elite line with the H9, what we were giving up was significant, I would say, cooling performance, because the top then only has this tiny sliver for air, for the internal air to be exhaust from the top. But yeah, definitely created a unique look. But this time around with the H9, we want to keep it simple. Performance will be great all around throughout the entire H9 series. But I don't know, maybe if we get some, I guess, responses that this is what customers are looking for, we'll definitely do deeper dives.
Well, speaking of customers, how do you take the feedback from our community, and how does it actually influence you guys when you're working on these products?
Yeah, I mean, we scour the web for just anything related to not only our products but also competing products. But yeah, it really is finding and matching sort of what customers are looking for, what the community is asking for, and hopefully making a product, I guess, with all of these feedback. And nowadays it could be a little bit simpler with I guess AI being able to scrape a lot more information in a much quicker I guess fashion. Yeah, but either way, I'd still very like going into the details, looking at specific I guess comments and that have been shared. So yeah.
And for this case in particular, how did you balance a form and function with designing this thing? Because like Mike was saying earlier, you guys decide. When I say you guys, I mean the product team. The product team decided, what, we're just gonna go with the Flow, ditch the Elite. But how do you balance form and function? Because you want to still make it look as nice as possible, right? While it performs. So how do you balance that?
Yeah, I'd say for this flagship line, we definitely did focus very much on the performance. And in terms of the form that follows the function, we've really looked at, what are some of the, I would say, really key, aesthetic um, aesthetics that we've introduced with the latest cases, like following up on the H7 and the H5, and making sure that the family sort of all ties together in one big happy family.
La familia. What would you say was your greatest challenge you experienced while working on this case?
I'd say one of the challenges that my team had to, or we encountered, was enabling like hidden connector support, because it requires pretty big punch out, and the way we sort of have that angled fan in, and we've also made it a requirement that, hey, now the front right you can install radiator, that whole angle and how that curves over to the where the motherboard sits. There's we had to make sure that the areas of the cutouts are big enough per the requirements from ASUS and MSI and whoever else makes the back connect. So yeah, that piece was definitely a challenge to bring up, and
Yes,
of course.
that would have been much easier if we just made those motherboards ourselves, right, Kevin? Just saying. $1 million idea, man.
Yep.
Well, okay, so I asked you, that was the most challenging, but what was the most surprising thing you learned while developing this case?
Yeah, we had to sort of design some of the things more unique in terms of like how the panels kind of go together, just due to like some of the space constraints and um, yeah. So what's different in the H9 on the front right with the fan mounts? Um, Instead of being able to just pop it off, and in the H6 it's not a separate radiator bracket. We want to make sure with those pieces and how it goes together, that it's sort of still easy to go about, and overall the installation, what you can do, panel removals, that it all feels well tied, and that it's structurally very, very sturdy.
And speaking of that, like GPUs and people, basically GPUs are getting bigger and bigger and bigger as times go on. I mean, if you remember 10 years ago, we had like the GTX, like 670 or something like that, and they were basically this thin, and now these things are literal bricks. Um, so what size GPUs can fit in the H9? And then also, like, how many fans can fit in the case too?
Yeah, so in terms of GPU size, you could pretty much throw anything out there. I don't think there's anything remotely close to like 410 millimeters in length, assuming that it doesn't sag all too much, hopefully. But yeah, essentially any GPU out there, you will be able to fit in this. In terms of that length support, yeah, it's pretty much not hindered by anything. Even if you have front right radiator and fan installation, it'll still support all the way up to that 410 line. And in terms of the support for, sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Just fans and then like performance.
Yeah, so fans, you'll be able to support a total of 10. Now, if you do push-pull on top, then you can add another 3 to that number. So that's essentially what we did with the Computex builds that we had at the booths. We did a top mount 420, which was sandwiching the radiator up on top. So yeah, on paper, it's 10 fan placements, but if you decide to add more for push pull, it's adding another layer on top.
And I know the reviews are rolling out now, but can you share any performance numbers with us? How does this thing stack up?
Yeah, so in looking at raw performance numbers, it really was if we talk about a build with liquid cooling, which is generally what we aim after, because that allows for the best performance out of any sort of build that you can put together with first party products. So comparing ourselves to like the previous gen H9, on the GPU side, it was a 3-degree decrease in terms of GPU temps, and slightly better on the CPU. So overall, just having that natural airflow come through and in and out of the case, it just really helped the performance for the GPU.
Crazy how this like little angle really changes up the performance of this case, because it doesn't seem like the old H9 it was completely flat, and then in the H6 and now the H9 Flow it's angled, and it's crazy how much of a difference the H9 or the angle really makes it. Do you have like an idea of like how people build in this? Like, should people use like air coolers for this? Should people use liquid coolers, or can you do any of that?
Yeah, we definitely, I would say, optimize for liquid cooling, but in terms of just due to its size and its volume, if you want to throw like a massive air cooler, you still can choose to do so. But yeah, I would say highly optimal for liquid cooling. With our Kraken lineup, it'll just match up really well in the case. And yeah.
So I was just gonna ask, there's all types of PC builders and PC gamers out there in the world, but who would you say is the ideal user for the H9 Flow?
So I guess being a panoramic wraparound glass, dual chamber case, it really is for people who want this thing sitting on their desk. They appreciate the biggest components, the best looking components that they can put into a PC build, that's within their reach. And it could be content creators, it could be gamers who just love clean aesthetics, and they like that next to them, right in their sort of desktop environment. So I would say it is for the the builders, the enthusiasts. If you are thinking about doing a custom loop, we do have a punch out up on top for a fill port. It's those were things that we didn't really fully think about when we originally did the H9, and what we found was so many people got the H9 and they were just massive amounts of people doing custom water loops in these. So for those enthusiasts, hopefully those are things that they're looking for, and happy to hear more feedback. What else are you looking for when you're going about doing these custom water loops? But yeah, liquid cooling, because of its sheer size, its cooling potential, and space for radiator.
And if the H9 is not for you, we also have another case, which I'm hiding right behind me. Little guy.
It's so
The
cute.
H3, the H3 Flow. It's the second micro-atx case NZXT has ever made, right? But before we get into it, Mike, can you roll the clip and show people a video?
So cool. Oh, I love that we revamped the micro. Everyone's been asking for a micro ATX case for so long. You don't know how many DMs I get of this.
Yeah. That is true. It's interesting to me because I remember when we had the previous micro ATX case, the H400. One of the reasons we stopped making it, and we even said this on the podcast, so it's not a secret, is that the micro ATX market at that time, it was not that big, right? And I'm curious, what made you and your team decide, you know what, now's actually a great time to make a micro ATX case again?
Yeah, I would say it didn't really, I guess, come to the team how we were just sort of we didn't really have a product that was able to address some of the I would say requirements. So yeah, I actually did a business trip out to Japan, and our one of our key customers there was just showing us the market status, like everything above $100, we would have sizable shares in. And then he showed me everything that was like sub $100. It's like, wow, there's just so much more that people are looking for, because in Japan they generally have more I would say smaller space in terms of what they can have at home, and they're always looking for something that doesn't take up as much space, and in terms of creating this micro ATX that fits a particular price segment, that is really creating a product that could allow us to sort of address the customers that are looking for something that is of that size and of something more, I would say, friendly on the wallet. Yeah, so and of course taking that back and really working with some of the internal teams, and because we do build PCs, it really just makes sense for us to now do a micro ATX.
Cool. Well, it's definitely friendly on the wallet. The H9 series starts at $139.99, and the H3 Flow is $79.99, which is actually shocking to me. When I first saw that price, I thought it was a typo. I thought it was going to be more than that. But what would you say are the main features and specs people should care about for the H3 Flow?
Yeah, so similarly, across the whole lineup of cases, performance was sort of the key thing that we wanted to make sure we nail. And a lot of the inspiration has been taken from the introduction of the H5 last year, making it into a more compact form factor, and still manage to let it have 280 radiator support in the front. In our testing, 280 and 360 performs fairly similar, and the top also supports 240 radiator mounting as well. So in terms of performance and the flowiness of the entire case, along with the PSU shroud perforations that allow for fans to be mounted for GPU intake, all of those really allows for a compact case to also perform really well. So yeah, we didn't give up any on sort of performance.
Did you, so like we said, we had previous micro ATX cases. Did you guys like take inspiration from them, or did you guys kind of just start from scratch?
No, I think the way we did the original well, it was H400. It wasn't, I would say it was just sort of about downsizing the H500 and also the H700 and building a case that was for micro-ATX. The problem with that was that's still like $130 micro-ATX case, which is just becomes a product that's sort of out of reach. And in general, micro-ATX case, I guess motherboards, they do come in on a more, I guess, budget side, and therefore you mix like a premium with a budget motherboard, it doesn't really match all too well. So I would say that would probably be the key takeaway in the miss from the H400. Just in thinking about overall, what are the components that are going into some of these builds? What are the selections? This time around with the H3, it's really about, okay, although micro-ATX market is pretty much, I would say in our numbers that we size up, it's I would say flat. Not entirely growing, but for us, it's about addressing a market that just hasn't been really looking at performance, and for us to create a product that allows for you to do builds, have those performance that you would need, and for any sort of anyday modern build, it's a great case to choose. And especially if you have, you want something more compact than the H5, that's something to consider.
I've always felt that micro-ATX is like the most underrated form factor of all computer sizes. And the reason being is because most people actually get ATX, right? Like a ATX motherboard, but most people are not using the entire motherboard. They're only using one slot for their graphics card, right?
Yep.
And that's the beauty about the micro-ATX is there's no wasted space basically. Like you use like the entirety of the motherboard, and if you really want to save money too, I feel like there's a lot of great micro-ATX motherboards out there nowadays, and that wasn't always the case. I think it kind of doesn't get the attention that ATX or mini ATX get. Like people usually go really big or really small. No one ever really thinks like, I wonder what's in the middle there. But yeah, I think micro ATX, if people really think about it, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely still trade-offs, especially if you are considering like a chunky, GPU. It only has 4 slots. In general, the motherboard, the first slot is sort of taken up by the NVMe. So you're really only left with 3. And if you're considering having fans to draw more air, that would probably be sort of the trade-off. So however, though, they make really great GPUs right now in like 2 slots, especially the latest 50 series. So I would say overall, builds, if you're looking for something more affordable, components all around, to what Ivan mentioned, good selection of products out there that allow you to complete that package.
I know you talked about how the market itself was an issue because it's not like a growing market. Did you have any other challenges when making this case? Was it like balancing like the price, or was it a certain part of the case that you're like, oh, this is gonna be a lot tougher than we thought?
Yeah, I mean, we really have to make significant trade-offs with this case. So we weren't able to, put in the usual like Velcro type points on the backside. It's just due to trying to hit this, specific price point. And yeah, all around, it's what is sort of the bare minimum that we have to hit, but then what are some of the pieces that people care about, like structurally, and yeah, we don't want to make a flimsy product. Yeah, this product feels really, really solid as you're handling it. So yeah, those were kind of the things that we focused on, the performance and sort of the quality behind the case.
How
Yeah, but a lot of trade-offs.
how did the community feedback play a role in the H3?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, to Ivan, your point earlier about, when people saw the H5, they wanted something smaller. I would say it was about taking a lot of those elements and sort of shrinking it down and seeing, and I would say looking at what are those sort of minimum requirements to hit, and sort of going up from there to see what we can manage to put in. We've also, I guess, punched holes for support for BTF, and so if that's what people are considering, it does simplify some of the building experience here and there, but yeah, it doesn't have to be.
What do you think you prioritized more with the H3? Was it form or function?
Ooh. It's got a function to begin with, but yeah, it's yeah, the look of the H3 very well resembles the H5. The top, we've actually gone to adopt the top filter panel that we've used to have in the original H5, and because we weren't able to introduce like more steel into the entire package. So, but I think the way we do color matching, even if you get a white, the white is gonna just still continue to look sort of flawless around. You won't have those sort of slight color variances. So even if it's across different material, that's something we care highly about. Clean aesthetics, just throughout. It should feel like an NZXT case.
So this is a much smaller case, obviously, compared to the H9, which is one of our biggest. With the like I said, the ever increasing size of GPUs and parts itself, what size GPUs can fit in the case?
Yeah, so we do support, all the way up to 377, but ideally you do have a set of front fans. So once you have front fans in there, it'll reduce that to about 352. But there are still very, very, I would say, high performance. Like a lot of 5090s fall within 352. Some a little bit longer than that, but yeah, if you are thinking about putting a 5090 in a budget case, you still can. Yeah.
I want to see that.
And I know it says that you can also front mount it, and it'll be even smaller. Do you recommend people to front or top mount if they have like a liquid cooler?
Yeah, I would say today a 240 top mounted radiator would get the job done for most CPUs out there. I mean, unless you're looking at overclocking to like I don't know, 6 gigahertz all around on like an Ultra 9. Yeah, that 240 might be, I guess, yeah, it might not be able to handle that. So in that case, you might want to look for front-mounted radiators, 280. But for the most part, most builds, CPUs generally aren't the thing that requires the most amount of cooling, then I guess front mount fans and GPU that's up to 352 would be good. Yeah.
And I'm showing the people off right now just so that they know. We can do a 280 millimeter to front, 240 top, and you said you can put 7 fans in the case.
Yeah. So if you do have the two 120 on the PSU shroud mounted, that would be the additional 2 from the 2 on the front, 2 on top, and the 1 in the rear.
What are the performance numbers like in this case?
So in looking at how it compares to some of the, well, we compared it to, say, like a Cooler Master, the Master Box Q300. By far, even with like air coolers, our GPU temps were like much better by 3 degrees, and CPU by 9 degrees. The way they were building those cases, they weren't really airflowy to say the least. And I would say some of that is, I don't know, just dated, and maybe people they don't stress the importance of performance. But yeah, micro-atx, now that there are smaller components to choose, I would say performance just needs to be elevated, and the H3 does just that.
Earlier, you mentioned that the H9 was for someone who wanted top of the line hardware, really wanted to maximize performance and things like that. Who would you say is the ideal user of the H3 flow?
Yeah, I would say anyone who's thinking about getting into PC gaming, and they have a tight budget because they don't know what this space is gonna be like, and if you are considering doing a build for a friend, and you need sort of a bare minimum case because they're not asking for too much, the H3 is a compact case that does everything I would say any sort of modern build would need, and at the same time it looks quite clean, I would say. The proportions and the ratios that the team has sort of designed, I think it's well-rounded, and I would say those are sort of the target audience for this case.
Nice. Well, we didn't just release new cases, we also announced some new coolers. The Kraken Plus, that's the one that's new. The Kraken Elite 420, it's just a new size. It's the same Elite, but bigger. But let's start with the Kraken Plus. So what are the main features and specs of the new Kraken Plus?
Yeah, so last year when we introduced the Kraken Elite line, we introduced a brand new NZXT turbine pump, and the previous generation Kraken, which was previously named, we were still on the former Asetek base cooling solution. So it was about taking that NZXT turbine pump and then utilizing it for the Kraken lineup, and therefore we're calling it the Kraken Plus line now. And it still has the same 1.52 inch square display. We've definitely gone to simplify installation. So if you're considering running RGB, you no longer have this external RGB controller that you would have to strap everything to. It's now has the single frame RGB fans that we introduced, and that just simplifies connections, simplifies installation all around. 4 screws is all you need to mount the fan onto the radiator. Overall just a much better user experience, I would say.
So that's the main difference between the Kraken and the Kraken Plus. But can you elaborate on what the differences are between the Kraken Plus and the Kraken Elite?
Yeah, so the Kraken Elite will still continue to be our flagship. That is, has a 2.72 or 74 inch display, IPS, really nicely sort of backlit, and
Full screen.
that is gonna full screen. That's gonna handle so much more. If you are thinking about throwing sort of any sort of customizations onto that LCD. Also, it has like an additional ring of RGB around the LCD. But yeah, the Kraken Plus really is about bringing display to a more affordable price tier. So some of the animation and features customizations would be more limited in that sense. So those are sort of the key differences. Performance-wise, you'll find them to be really similar across the various sizes, and if you're looking for high customization animation, Kraken Elite is probably the one you will want to choose. But if you're just looking for great cooling, simple customizations, the Kraken Plus.
And I guess we'll talk about that. What can you customize on this cooler?
So the Kraken Plus, you can put any of the cam infographics. You can support GIF handling. The bit rate might be a little bit slower, but you could put images on there. So that would probably be the limitations for the Kraken Plus. But the software team continues to refine and look for ways to better optimize and utilize the hardware. So given the limitation of some of the maybe the chip and the display, they're always looking at how to squeeze every last bit out of each of these. It's like, I don't know if you guys remember like the PlayStation 4 or maybe it was the PlayStation 3, like new titles, AAA titles were still getting introduced, and they were maximizing what the capabilities are of the hardware. Similarly internally, we that's something we try to do as well. So new features from CAM, it's constantly being worked on. So
I just got a flashback to my PlayStation humming. That thing was zooming sometimes.
Like a plane taking off.
yeah, man. These little hot boxes for sure. When you guys were working on the Kraken Plus, were there any specific pain points from the previous generation of the Kraken that you just said, you know what, we're gonna address these head on. We're gonna make sure that we take care of it this time around?
I think more on like just making sure that the cooling performance is hitting the marks, because of the size of the cap and the differences within that. The team, we had to work closely with our supplier to see that we're hitting those targets. Those are sort of the challenges that come with any sort of deviation or changes that happen for sort of any product. But it's about how do we make sure that we are setting that benchmark and hitting those and making sure that we're launching a product that's going to be better just overall.
Well, speaking of launching a product that's going to be better, we also released our biggest and baddest Kraken of all time, the Kraken Elite 420, the big boy,
Blaze
the
it.
head honcho. Thing's huge, man. Once you see it in real life, you're just like, how is this thing real? It's ridiculously large. I think the pump too, it just makes the newer, bigger pump. It also kind of just adds to the whole aesthetic. I love it.
It's crazy that 420 is now like the next step into cases, because back then getting a 360 millimeter cooler, you're like, wow, that's a big. Now we're getting even more bigger and bigger as it keeps going on. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 420. It's been around, but never really been a size that I guess reached mainstream adoption, just due to its size and due to its availability. Yeah, I mean three 140 fans. That's actually good amount of real estate that you would need out of any case. So we've launched the H7 last year that would support 420 in the front, and and we've been working on this size for some time, just due to also creating a single frame that is 420. You still want it to be rigid, and it's not gonna like bend out of shape. Structurally sturdy. That's very key for sort of any fan development, because these blades are spinning at pretty high RPMs, and you don't want any sort of warp happening. So getting to 420 size, it's not just about taking a design and then enlarging it. You got to make sure everything is sort of sound structurally all around. There have been sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, there have been other, I would say, explorations to go for like maybe even thicker. We see some other competitors that have gone for thicker radiators, but you would have to introduce an even more powerful fan that is thicker, that can have high static pressure to kind of move air through. So our approach is more, hey, this is now a bigger radiator throughout. You get more, I guess, surface area to kind of work through.
Speaking of working through, what would you say are the main features and specs people should care about with this new Kraken Elite 420?
Yeah, it's I think it's fairly straightforward. It really is just about an enlarged radiator size, accommodating 3 larger fans than the 360, and but otherwise expect the same ease of installation. The breakout cable is still attached to the radiator. That takes away all the cable mess around the CPU, and it's bigger size, better performance, and if your case can fit in it, if you're considering the new H9, the 420 is the size to choose, because it just rounds everything up.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned performance, because that was my next question. I want to know how the performance of a 420 or our Kraken Elite 420 compares to the others, the Kraken Elite 360, the Kraken Elite 280, the Kraken Elite 240. What kind of performance gains can customers expect with this Kraken?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of the performance numbers won't really show until you're really pushing like to the edge, like overclocking to make sure you're sustaining um, like really high wattage, and so we're definitely seeing good performance updates to compare even within. So it's maybe minor, by 1 to 2 degrees if you consider it, but then overall, in terms of like, if you put it into relative perspective, it's actually quite significant, I would say. But if you're really pushing like the edge, you're really overclocking and fine-tuning your overclocks to specific I would say TDP sort of thresholds. Those would be.
Fliskin is asking in the chat, do you giggle every time you say Kraken 420? Why is that number so funny, Kevin?
I don't know. Like, I think Yeah, I think you were the one that mentioned to me, hey, maybe it was a missed opportunity. We should have launched on April 20th.
That would have been
But
good. Yeah, a month
yeah,
ago.
but yeah, we just couldn't get the product out and ready in time. But yeah,
Well, speaking
well,
of
we launched on
product,
520, so a month too late.
we should have waited 69 days after 420. It would have been perfect.
Mm.
Um, all right. So earlier you said this fits in the H9. Are there any other NZXT cases that the
Yeah, so
Kraken Elite 420 would fit inside?
so the other would be the H7 in the front. I think it provides a pretty well-rounded look because now the front is just fully filled out with 420 fans. We did launch the 420 fans slightly ahead of the Kraken Elite, but yeah, now you can sort of complete that performance uh, um, in the H7 as well. So yeah, definitely something to consider if you are looking to build in the H7.
And when you guys were working, I keep saying you guys, but when you and the product team, because there's also gals on that team. Um, when you and your team were working on the Kraken Elite 420, was there anything surprising that you learned about coolers of this size?
No, I think it has been pretty straightforward. Structurally, I don't know if the team encountered too much of a challenge. I mean, they had to make sure the plastic pieces and everything that were going into it was going to be okay. I mean, we had um, smaller sizes to work with, also 140 variations due to us having 280. So yeah, there weren't too significant, I guess, challenges. Uh, but yeah, just making sure that all of these pieces pieced together um, is still going to be rigid.
All right, I want you to follow along with me, Kevin. Let's say I'm a brand new PC builder. My name is Laurent. I have no idea what I'm doing, which products I should choose. I decide, you know what, I'm gonna get a Kraken. How do I choose between a Kraken Elite or a Kraken Plus? What do I do to make up my mind here?
Yeah, it depends. If you're looking for RGB, we do have variants of that throughout, and if you're just looking for quick, simple customizations, the Kraken Plus would, you know, it would serve any build today. Uh, and then if you're considering, building in a much bigger case, the Kraken Elite is going to be the one that has that extensive lineup, the 420 size, maximized for performance and also looks all around.
There you go, Laurent. Now you know exactly which Kraken to get. And with that, it is now time for my favorite part of the show where Mike is going to ask you some really dumb questions before we wrap it up, Kevin. All right, Mike, take
Be
it
a
away.
little early in the morning for me, so but yeah, I will try.
For those that don't know, Kevin is in Taiwan right now, so it's a little early on a weekend for. So we want to say thank you for waking up early on your day off to help us out. But we'll get through the rapid fire as quick as we can. We just got some dumb questions that I have lined up. So one, simply easy. What games are you playing right now?
What have I been playing? So we had at our suite we had a co-op with NVIDIA GeForce, and the game that they I guess asked us to put on there to demo the latest 5090s was Black Myth Wukong. And I've dabbled in Elden Ring, didn't really play Dark Souls, but that's been what I've been, I guess, playing on the downtime when we didn't really have too many guests over at our suite. So managed to get to, I guess, I forgot what the boss was called, but it was like a massive black bear that hits like a truck. Yeah, so Black Myth Wukong.
What would your last meal be?
Hmm. I don't know. Maybe some hearty Taiwanese dish. Minced pork over rice. It's good.
The correct answer was a guava, Kevin. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Mm, mm. Refreshing.
What goes first, the milk or the cereal?
Cereal for me.
I'm gonna be a little weird. I like doing the milk first and then the cereal because I don't like eating cereal that doesn't have milk on it. You put the milk
right.
first and then you put soda and you just keep refilling it.
Let's just
Well, so
end
that's
the
the thing,
podcast
right?
now. That's
What
disgusting.
what if you ran out of cereal? Like you already poured a bowl of milk and then you only have enough cereal to like get to like a third or
Just
like
you just keep going. You got
drink
it.
the milk.
Yeah, you just if you run out of milk, you just like eat it, be done with it. But if you run out of cereal, you just keep refilling it. And I think you should always pour the milk first before the cereal.
Ran out of cereal, is what I mean.
If you ran out of cereal,
yeah.
oh yeah, I mean, if you run out of cereal, you just drink it. I eat cereal that you can drink the milk after, like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You can eat it after. You can drink it after. It's delicious.
See, I always like pour in just enough milk to get that right balance.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kevin. Mike's the weird one here.
Favorite place you visited or vacationed at?
Favorite place? I would say Japan. I've always enjoyed going to Japan. I've mainly been going for 2 seasons, which is the summer and the winter. So for winter, I do snowboard. So it's a great destination for food, for the culture, the snowboarding.
Window or aisle seat?
I always forget it snows there.
Window. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, okay. I got some fun ones. All right. If you could dispense 5 liquids from your finger, each of the fingers, what would the liquids be? And it could be any liquid. You can have like lava as one. You can do milk as one. You can do any 5. So what will your 5 be?
Water.
It was a trick question because there's only 4 fingers on your hand, Kevin.
Oh, I hate.
All right, water. What else?
Tea.
Okay.
Coca-Cola.
Okay. Is that all you drink?
Yeah, coffee. I don't know.
Coffee. All right, we got 4. Water.
Those are the 4 things that I
tea,
drink.
Coca-Cola, coffee. And what would the 5th one be? The thumb is a special one.
I honestly don't. Maybe beer on occasion. Yeah.
I think the number one thing that once you realize you're like, oh, I wish I didn't, is gasoline. You can put gasoline on one of the fingers because then you can fill up your car. It can also use a defense mechanism too.
I guess if you drive electric, would be it.
If you have a driver electric, that'd be not worth it.
If it's beer, I just imagine Kevin walking around Japan sucking on his thumb.
Now you do it with the pinky. You gotta be a little classy. Let's see. All right. For an entire year, you have to be able to tell the truth. And if you do that, you get $50 million. But if you fail, you owe $1 million. Would you take the deal? Uh-oh. Ooh, that lag. Uh-oh. I think we lost them. I think Discord may be stuck. Okay, so it's not my connection. I think it may be Discord. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, so it's not OBS. It's Discord. I think Discord may have gone down. Hey, at least they look happy. You're right. Oh, hello.
Coffee.
Oh, there they are. I hear you guys. There you go.
All right.
Okay.
We're good. We're good. Okay, yeah. I was like, is it my side? I think it's just Discord having issues right now.
Okay.
Hmm.
We
All right.
good?
Before this ends up, so
should wrap it up
entire
this
year,
one.
$50 million. You have to tell the truth. But if you fail, you lose $1 million. Would you do it?
Wait. What? If
Tell the truth for an entire year, you get a 50 million. But if you fail, you owe 1 million. Would you do it?
entire year, if I do what?
Have to tell the
and I get
truth.
Oh,
Can never lie.
I'd do it. I'm an honest person.
You liar. You wouldn't do that.
Would you do that, Ivan?
Not lie for a whole year? I don't think I could, man.
I don't know. Like,
I have to
I have a
lie. I
3-year-old,
lie every
like-
day.
yeah, I have a 3-year-old now. Now that I think about it,
That's what I was
it's
wondering, because
like-
I was like, you guys got kids, so those kids are gonna ask some really stupid or really bad questions, and you're just like, I gotta have to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I take that back. Yeah.
Could you go an entire year without measuring a table?
Nah, can't do that. Mm-mm.
Wait, measuring a table. What do you mean by that?
There's a meme going on. It's like, you get $500 billion, but you can't measure the slope of your sidewalk for 3 days. Can you do it? And people go, nope, can't do it. Sorry. It's the stupidest meme of all time. All right, and now the most important question of all time. Do you think 100 men or one silverback gorilla? Adult silverback gorilla. No weapons, nothing, but.
Ooh, no weapons.
Mm-mm.
Who would win?
Uh-oh, I think they froze again. Discord, you can't be doing this right now. I mean, it looks like I'm fine on my side, right? So, uh-oh. Oop. Uh-oh. Yikes. Uh-oh. Let me try to figure this out. Rip. Oh, reconnection. Oh, reconnected. Hello? Hello? Okay, we're good now.
there you
All
are.
right, so the internet's not holding up well again. So we'll end this quick. So 100 men or one silverback gorilla, and we'll go to announcements.
Yeah, so I think you were about to show me an image.
I asked Mike to pull up a
Slack it.
picture of a silverback gorilla. It's terrifying. Like, just imagine. The reason why I don't think 100 men could beat one of these things is because, like, someone has to go first, right? Like, let's say it's us three versus these, like, who's gonna go first? Because whoever goes first is gonna get destroyed, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like the second guy's gonna see that, he's like, I'm not gonna go in there. I'm not gonna get my, arms ripped off by this monster. And then I think people would just be scared to like want to fight this gorilla. And those that do choose to fight, there's just no way. I don't see it happening.
Dude, I have this picture. It's raw strength of a gorilla is 4,000 pounds versus a human, which is 300.
It's insane. I think it might be. Is it the strongest animal on the planet?
No, I think it's gotta be like polar bear or something like that, or like a hippo or something crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Yeah, 'cause
Let's
I was
get
just thinking, like, back in, I don't know, maybe the caveman days when men were stronger. you know.
When men were men.
Men. Yeah, I don't think 100 men could do it, but if it was like 100, if it was 100 average men, I'd be like, no. But if you chose like the strongest guy, like the football, the boxers, the MMA, then yeah, I think that's doable.
All right. Here's the last question I will ask. Can the three of us beat up like a wild goat?
Oh God.
Yeah.
How big are wild
I think
goats?
so.
How big are mountain goats? Oh, okay. Ooh, I'm not sure. They can weigh up to 300 pounds. They weigh up to 300 pounds and they're 4.5 feet tall.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm thinking of farm goats, but then if you're pulling up mountain goats,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like a mountain goat. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think we could.
No, I don't think I
Yeah,
can. Oh
yeah.
my God. Hold on. I have to show the photo of the goat I see. Look at this thing. Yeah, there's no way we're fighting this thing. Oh my God. Yeah, no, they're not. This thing is massive. Look at this thing. Yeah, there's no way. Zero chance we're gonna. I think Ivan goes in cocky, gets folded. Mike loses all fighting spirit, starts backing away, only realizes that Kevin has already left. I agree.
Yeah, I would probably just run. To
I'd
be
run.
honest.
Those hordes, man.
I mean, good luck getting away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I
on a
would run,
cliff.
and then I don't even have to be faster than the goat. I just have to be faster than you guys. Just let you guys worry about the goat.
Alrighty, I think that is it on the announcements. I'll hopefully wrap this up quickly before the stream ends again. But let me go through announcements real quick. We have a Memorial Day sale going on right now. You can save up to $300 off NZXT PCs and more. You can do !point memorial in chat, or if you're listening to this, go to nzxt.com. We are at DreamHack in Dallas right now, so if you're in the area, visit our booth and join in for a very special giveaway specifically for those at DreamHack. So keep an eye out for that. And as Kevin here has talked about, we launched our new micro-atx H3 flow, our newly updated H9 flow, a Kraken Elite 420, a line of Kraken Plus coolers available in 240, 280, and 360 millimeters. So you can take a look at nzxt.com or !point new stuff in chat. And we are giving away so much stuff on our club. Ivan's worked hard on this. Super dope. Go to nzxt.co/club. And you can join the club for exclusive giveaways. You earn Poochie points. You can see right there, you see from Harbor Quest, some person just got some Poochie points. Boom. You go ahead and put that into our monthly giveaways that we give away so much stuff. Before I give the secret code, Kevin, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, if you are picking up these products, happy to hear feedback. So yeah, let us know what you guys think, and yeah, definitely reach out.
Ivan, do you have anything before I give them the special code?
I just want to thank Kevin once again for joining us on a bright and early Taiwan Saturday morning. Kevin, we really appreciate you taking the time. We know you didn't have to do this, so thank you. We really do appreciate you.
No, thanks for having me.
Alrighty, guys. So thank you guys for joining us. Like we said, you guys are first in line for the exclusive giveaway for an H3 flow, H9 flow, Kraken Plus, and a Kraken Elite 420. Go ahead and make sure to do all of the specific things in there. I think we even have like a Submit Celtips one. But the most important one for you guys here for joining us live is the secret code that gives you 500 extra entries. That's where it's saying thank you for joining us live. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us live early in Taiwan right now. So let me go ahead and give the special code. The special code for 500 extra entries is Flow and Steady. Flow and Steady is the secret code for 500 extra entries. Thank you, Ivan. And thank you guys for joining us live. And remember, tune in on Fridays on the official NCC Twitch. And don't forget to listen to previous episodes on Apple Apple Podcast, Spotify, and SoundCloud. You got any questions for us? Send an email to podcast@nzxt.com or tag at NZXT on social media platforms. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us. And everyone that is in the US, have a safe Memorial. Please stay safe, and we'll see you guys soon. Not the knocking.